Battlefield 6 is at a break point if and only if certain things don't change. But I want to be very clear from the start, Battlefield 6 is not dying. And honestly, this is not the time to lose hope, this is the time to give the game a real chance. I see the conversation everywhere, people posting Steam charts, screenshots, numbers, asking, is Battlefield 6 dying? And every time I see that, I kind of shake my head because I don't think those charts tell the full story. But let me give you my perspective. I work full-time job, right? I work around 50 hours a week. I come home, I spend time with family, I deal with real life, responsibilities, stress, all of it. And after all of that, I still find myself most nights turning on Battlefield 6 and playing. Sometimes it's one match, sometimes it's a few hours, but the point is, I want to play it. If this game was dying, I wouldn't be doing that. And I know a lot of you are doing the same thing. The truth is, player count drops after launch are normal. Every big multiplayer game goes through this. I mean, there's always a huge spike at launch and then things settle down. Especially when Season 1 doesn't land perfectly. I mean, the holidays come around, people travel, people play less, and there are like other strong games competing, for attention at the same time. None of that means failure. None of that means the game is dead. What matters is whether the game is still fun, whether it runs well, and whether the developers are still supporting it. And I think Battlefield 6 checks all three of those boxes. It plays well, it runs well for most players, and the developers are there. They're just taking a break for Christmas and New Year's, you know what I mean? But performance in general, I mean, it's still an issue. It's not as bad as like a few weeks ago or like a month ago, but I mean, it's still an issue. And, a lot of hot fixes came out. Some of them were like a little bit corrupted or not doing well or not working okay. But we have a lot of things that got changed, and then there is like the micro stutter issues are gone for most players. But performance is something that will need to be worked on constantly because now the foundation is solid. Expectations naturally go up, you know what I mean? And when a game runs well, players will stop excusing everything else. And that's where the idea of a breakpoint comes in. A breakpoint doesn't mean collapse, it doesn't mean the end. It means the moment where trust, consistency, and direction of this game starts to matter more than just a raw content drop. And to be honest with you, right now the biggest issues players are talking about are not just crashes or bugs. They're trust issues. People are paying attention to quality control. They're paying attention to decisions. They're paying attention to whether things, feel intentional or rushed. That's why the whole AI cosmetic situation, became such a big deal. It wasn't because people are anti-AI or trying to stir up drama. It was because players expect paid content to meet a certain standard. I mean, when something looks questionable, it immediately raises concerns about equality, review processes, and priorities. And once that doubt creeps in, it spreads fast. The same thing applies to gameplay discussions. I mean, people are debating balance, movement, realism, gameplay, map flow, you name it. These are not complaints from people who gave up on the game. These are conversations from people who care enough to want the game to be better. You don't argue about the identity of a game you've already abandoned. Portal is another example. Portal has a huge potential and players love the idea behind it, but right now it feels like it's stuck in between identities. I mean, is it a sandbox? Is it a progression mode? Is it curated? Players aren't asking for more features, they're asking for clarity. I mean, what the heck are we doing with Portal? Why is it there? People want to understand what Portal is supposed to be long term. But then on top of all of this, you have the EA corporate headline floating around, shareholders, date ownership talk, and whether or not these things will directly affect Battlefield 6 or not, they will add context. They make players more sensitive to anything that looks like cost cutting or lack of polish. I mean, it doesn't mean the game is doomed. It just means the margin of error is getting a little bit smaller, And that brings us to Season 2. This is where things really start to matter. Not because people are, expecting miracles, but because they want confidence. They want to see a clear direction. They want to feel like Battlefield 6 knows exactly what kind of game it wants to be moving forward. Season 2 doesn't need to be massive, it needs to be intentional, clear messaging, clear priorities, clear improvements. And if Season 2 delivers that, the narrative around Battlefield 6 changes very quickly and in a positive way. So when I hear people say Battlefield 6 is dying, I just don't see it. What I see is a big, well-built game that is still fun, still active, and still being supported. But sitting at a moment where trust and execution matter more than hype. Player counts go up and down, that's normal, that's not a death sentence. Steam charts don't represent every single player in the world, so I don't really need to count on that. This game was clearly built for the long run, and with the right focus, by addressing the issues that actually matter, this game can easily thrive for more than just a year. That's the least. So no, this isn't the time to panic. This is the time to be patient, give constructive feedback, and let the developers do what they've already shown they're capable of doing. I'm curious to hear what you think. What matters most to you right now? Balance, content, direction, portal, monetization, quality? Let me know in the comments. And if you're like me, busy life, full-time job, still finding yourself jumping into Battlefield 6 whenever you get the chance, then yeah, that doesn't sound like a dying game to me. This is GhostX, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.